Since we've just watched the film on Ananthmurthy, I was wondering if I could begin from one statement that he makes there. That wherever this a cultural element or an influence, wherever it comes from India or from somewhere else, it is mine. This is actually, it seems to be lying at the heart of a lot of the major modern artists, even someone like Tagore or Ray or many others. But when we have entered a phase of cultural debates, which is more identitarian than before, like where it becomes it's a kind of question of sharp East and West divide and so on. It should be all ours, not theirs, and so on. Which, as a filmmaker, how do you look upon this debate?
See, if you really try to sanitize a culture, then I think it becomes very lifeless. Why I say sanitize is that you don't bring in this influence, you don't bring in this.
Right.
See that because our life is full of influences. We are under many influences from all over the world. And human consciousness and human taste develop imbibing all these influences. If you don't want all these things, that means you are not willing to accept the influences that exist in today's society. You want to go back to a society which has no such influence at all. But how can you do that? Because you see, over the centuries, we are open to the human civilization itself has taken a lot of turns and twists, and many of that is the result of the influences from Makkah. Right. It's not only India. Even so-called developed countries have been borrowing a lot of things from the Oriental countries, from the underdeveloped countries. So this whole notion of developing a kind of a pure culture, pure ideas itself is wrong.
I was also thinking as a filmmaker, because you work in a medium, you work with a form. Isn't it even more impossible there to, not to actually imbibe?
The medium itself is
exactly
not ours.
Not to have conversations with the whole world.
Yeah. And besides cinema, you see, it's basically technological. This one is very heavy. We import all the technical equipments from the West. We have not developed anything on our own. But the challenge is not avoiding these instruments, but bringing them in and try to find an idiom which are rooted in our culture. So there's a difference between these two things, technology and the idiom. We use technology to develop our own idiom. And how does the idiom develop? We borrow all the influences from, again, Ananthmurthy's, to use his word, from our backyard. So then only it becomes that particular film director's personal medium. So technology is different, technical qualities are different, idiom is different. When I am watching a film, I look at how this filmmaker uses these technologies and technical know-how to develop his own idiom. And this idiom is actually the product of his culture, his politics, his social environment, and it's a culmination of all these things.
True. And especially if we are thinking of your first films, and also the first major Kannada kind of, this new crop of films that we still go back to, we watch and discuss. It's an interesting period when actually there was a new transaction with local bhasha literatures were taking place, isn't it? For example, in the case of Manikol or a few others, it was the Nai Kahaniya, Hindi Nai Kahaniya movement. For Kannada cinema,
it's also
is the
called
new
Nayi
Kannada
Kahani,
modernism.
yeah. It's also called New Kahaniya, Navya Kahani, Navya.
Navya
movement.
Kahaniya. The Malayali filmmakers were also drawing upon this. And this is, one has seen this in many contexts. For example, even someone like this new Taiwan cinema, which came later, 80s, 90s development. Someone like Hou Xiaoxian, whenever he gave an interview, he talked about the Taiwanese, Chinese writers.
Writers, yes.
And he worked very closely with them. My question is, do you think that there is now, with the rise of a new kind of generation of interesting, challenging filmmakers, especially in the South, which is happening, to some extent also in Punjab and elsewhere, but South definitely. I was thinking of this S. Harish's novels and short stories, which Lijo Jose Pellicer uses, and thankfully, his major novel called Mustache has been translated pretty well into English recently, and a book of his short stories called Adam. So, after watching Pellicer's some of his films, I've had a sense that he must be working in close kind of transaction with some literary practitioner. And then I discovered S. Harish. So this is again a very productive period for some of these, regional is the old word anyway, for the sake of convenience. Some of these cinemas especially from the South.
It's not just literature, it's a cultural movement as such. In Kannada, I'll tell you, it all started with poetry, but then came the short stories and the novels, and then the theatre through B.V. Karan, and it also manifested itself in painting. I don't know how whether dance and music were affected or
That's
not.
more
But
indirect kind of thing.
But these, one can see the artists working in this field trying to bring in new sensibilities. And that didn't come directly from literature. It came from a political movement.
Right.
See, that's when, people working in Kannada literature realized, most of them are Lohiites. They realized the importance of socialism and how socialism talks about the internal divide, not only in terms of class structure, but in terms of caste structure, and how religion, plays a major role in dictating these things. That way, Kannada new film movement is a direct offshoot of these movements. So Kannada movement, probably Kannada literary movement and Kannada cinema, Kannada theatre, I think, I don't know whether anywhere else in India you see the influence of Lohia and the new socialist.
Probably not in the same manner.
There were many of, like in Bengal at least, it was IPTA and the Marxist thinking.
The new radical.
In Karnataka, it is this one. In Tamil Nadu, it's actually the Dravid movement. So like that, that's why in once I said it's not right to say Indian film history. There's nothing called one Indian film history, because each region has its own reason to exist. In that sense, everything started together. This movement started in Marathi. Movement started in, through Chitralekha in Malayalam, but the impetus, the push is from different corners.
So the question that poses itself is, now that there's also very interesting work being done in regional cinemas, especially in the South, that kind of conjuncture actually doesn't exist, isn't it? So there must be something else happening. Maybe new modes of financing, maybe new kind of
post-globalization. I think this kind of looking at oneself is not only in India, it is happening all over the world. Just imagine during 60s, 70s, we could decipher a film a Japanese film. In it, it had different idiom, different mounting, different way of expressing. But look at the contemporary modern Japanese cinema. It is, I think it has, in one sense, flattened expression. I don't blame the filmmakers because the society as such has got flattened.
It's uniformity.
Uniformity. So like, if you take a picture of Bombay or Bangalore and of Chicago or New York, I don't think
there's much radical difference. Does
there are only certain parts of world which has that kind of, they try to retain their identity and things like that.
That is also an effect of globalization, isn't it?
Because the market which open itself freely to the international influences, I think that has flattened it.
So just changing the subject a little bit, also in the Ananthmurthy film, there's this interesting statement that since his stories, narratives are mostly located in the countryside, he says it's almost, is it Ananthmurthy who says that or Ashish Nandi? That it almost automatically has an epic
quality, yes.
So you have worked, your films are often located in the countryside. What do you think of this statement?
Epic, the term epic as we understand through Brecht and things is slightly different from the way how we look at epics. At least Kannada narration of epic has direct this one to the way how look at reality. Our perception is full of, we look at things episodically. They also, even the modern cinema talks about when you say, what is it, this epic structure, they also refer to this one, episodic
structure.
But the way how we think, we incorporate episodic structure into our films is quite different from the way how they incorporate. So we use the same term, but inference or implications are different.
If you are to talk about your films, how would you see this kind of, explain this or explore this statement?
I wouldn't think. I have used this epic narrative in some films, but not in all films.
All films.
I am more dramatic, analytical structure for many of my films. Thai Seba and some other films are exceptions. But for me, I always try to develop a dialogue with my previous films. So for some reason, I am happy or unhappy with the previous films. So trying to develop a new idiom, new expression in the next film. So that way, like Tabra, I thought it is the metaphorical significance of the film was lost because of its structural simplicity itself. Because it's padded with so much of details, people got only one aspect of it, not the metaphorical aspect of it. So when I made Mane, I decided to move away from that kind of a realistic mode and go towards what is it called? Very minimalist kind of thing. Use only the bare essentials. But I thought even that somewhere makes it little lifeless. So I moved to the other one. When I was doing Dvipa, I thought, why use this idiom at all, this realistic mode? Why not we use a idiom which we see in our folk arts? Of everything is representational, not real. So that way, so this style is as a reference to my previous film. It's like kind of a constant urge to develop a new this one.
Well, one film that hasn't yet been mentioned, somebody today in the post-screening discussion was talking about water in your films. And you said that, yes, that is there. That preoccupation is there. So what the film that it immediately brings to mind is Gulabi Talkies.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit how you came to that film and why you. This is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
favorite.
What had happened, there's a lot of communal tensions in coastal Karnataka.
That
I
timing,
asked this question to myself, why only in coastal Karnataka? Why not in the interiors? Then I found this answer that the Narayan Guru movement, they set up these Prarthana Mandiras in each and every nook and corners of that. So when this tension between the communities grew, for Hindutva it was easy to capture it. They use this co-opted by using this Prarthana Mandiras and use it for exactly the opposite reason of what Narayan Guru intended. So this being the case, I thought I should look for a story wherein I can invest all these preoccupations. Then I found if I slightly tweet Vaidehi's story, it can be reinterpreted in this way. That was also the time where I was wondering the politics of imaging itself, not the politics of image, but the politics of imaging. Because you see what happens, we tend to believe that images, because of the concreteness, it sans politics. No. Images have politics, but the process of recording the image also has a politics. So I was thinking, why not we discuss this? And then I thought, television is the right thing. Because in the first half of the film, it's the family drama.
Installation of the television.
Second half, it's the news. Both come from the television, but the politics of family drama, it's a bad aesthetics, but harmless. At least they cry, say family unity and all that. But the second half, where war,
Kargil in that.
Kargil war. So they make it very, aggressive. The news itself becomes very aggressive. The common perception is that news is, we need to watch news because we get to know what is happening around the world, whereas this is all for women and all that. But look at the politics, it's opposite of that.
Exactly.
Here you are unifying the people, here you are dividing the thing. So these things, I thought, to discuss that, I thought, one should have a story which is not just centered around a central character. All my films, whether it is Tabra or Gatashraddha or Thai Sahaba, it's centered around a single character. I thought I should develop this Vaidehi story into a story of two folds. One is of the individual, the other is of the community. So the fishermen as well as this. So when we started working on that, I was discussing this with my cinematographer. I said we should also use two different styles. One is very cleanly structured, this one for the Gulabi's personal drama, and a verite for the community. Then he suggested, in that case we should do it in 16 mm, because I can bring a little bit of grains, make it look raw. And we did it. Of course, because of my problem of my cinematographer, he has slightly physically, so I couldn't take the handheld shots. But that's how a new kind of approach to my filmmaking, manifested. It happens with all the filmmakers, We don't understand that because we only go by the story and the narration. But the idiom, that's what I call as the politics of imaging, not politics of image, politics of imaging, one has to understand the complete vision of the filmmaker.
In this case, in this film's case, actually the place itself also leaves very strong trace.
Yeah.
Even after the film is over.
Yeah.
Somehow that place, the earth and the water. The sky and all that kind of leaves a,
Actually-
and this whole drama is played out against that.
It is set in what we call as Kudru. Kudru are small islands outside the mainland. Between Kudru and the mainland, you have water. So they are in a way, it's an independent this one, but the influences from outside make their life miserable. So that's why I located the story in a island, fishing island. So they have to travel, use the boat to come to the mainland and go back to the mainland. And the water becomes both a kind of a life source as well as
barrier.
distancing element.